it again and sign Juan Soto? And is he even worth the massive contract he'll get? Talk about all that and more on this of Locked On Rangers. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Rangers, your daily Texas Rangers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are locked onto the Texas Rangers. I'm Bryce Patrick, a cripplingly addicted Texas Rangers fan covering this team for 11 seasons, including all 6 as the founder and host of this podcast. Thank y'all so much for making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. If you're not already, you can follow me on Twitter at Bryce Patrick. You can follow the show at Locked On Rangers. Hit subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform and on YouTube, where the best way you can help grow the show is to comment nearly any single thing below. Now, before we get into Juan Soto, how good he is, what it would take to land a free agent of that size, and if he's worth all the hassle. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start with this season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Now, in case you are new to baseball, there's this guy, Juan Soto. He's pretty darn good at baseball, and he is a free agent this year. He has been in baseball since he was 19 years. Well, he has been in Major League Baseball since he was 19 years old. He has been one of the best hitters in baseball since he stepped foot onto a Major League diamond as a teenager with the Washington Nationals. He has spent most of his career there, a couple of season and a half, I should say, with San Diego, and his final season until this point with the New York Yankees. This guy is absolutely incredible. He just turned 26 years old, and he is, if not for Shohei Ohtani, this is the biggest free agent we have seen since Alex Rodriguez. I mean, this is the kind of level of hype with this guy. The 26-year-old left fielder / right fielder / very occasional DH, almost certainly more of a DH type with Texas. We'll get into more of the fit later. But how good is this guy? What makes this guy so special? Well, Juan Soto is the best walker in Major League Baseball and has been for his entire career. Now, that doesn't sound super sexy, but it's because so many pitchers are so scared to attack Juan Soto. He is one of, if not the best fastball hitters in Major League Baseball. This is a guy who knows how to work deep counts. He is a complete hitter. He hits the ball with power to all fields. He sees a lot of pitches. He knows the strike zone better than anybody. I mean, Evan Carter and Wyatt Langford both have exceptional feels for the strike zone. I mean, truly incredible. Same with Stephen Kwan, but nobody since he came up has been better at knowing what is and isn't a strike and only swinging at pitches that he likes, not just regular strikes, but quality strikes, working long at bats, fouling off pitch after pitch after pitch until he gets the one that he wants and absolutely annihilates it. He has spent 7 seasons in Major League Baseball, a career 36.4 baseball reference WAR. And again, he just turned freaking 26. He's finished top 10 in MVP voting 1, 2, 3, 4, and almost assuredly this year will be the 5th time in his 7 seasons as a major leaguer that he has finished top 5 or top 10 in MVP voting. Top 5 will be, he did that twice, once in 2020, once in 2021. The only time that he didn't receive MVP votes were his rookie year, where he played only 116 games as a 19-year-old back in 2018. And then 2022, the time that he spent half the season with the Padres, half the season with the Washington Nationals, that midseason blockbuster trade, that was his bad year. And let me go through what his bad year looked like so you know how consistent this guy has been. That worst year of his career, 2022, 153 games, an all-star, an OPS of 853. Yeah, that's the worst of his career. A year where he had 27 home runs, was an all-star, was a silver slugger. That's the worst year of this guy's career. That's insane. He has a career 953 OPS in 7 seasons as a major leaguer. And you want to go with all-time ranks. This guy just turned 26. And you go with OPS plus, that kind of adjusts for park settings and league factors and all that good stuff. He has a career OPS plus of 160. That is the 19th best in Major League Baseball history for his career. 19th best in baseball history. Let me read you some of the names that are ahead of him. You have Babe Ruth, Ted Williams, Barry Bonds, Lou Gehrig, Mike Trout, Aaron Judge. Those are the only two active players that are ahead of him. And then you have guys like, Mickey Mantle, Jimmy Fox, Mark McGwire. That's about it. It's about all the guys that are ahead of him. Here are some guys who he is already ahead of in his career OPS plus, and I think it's only going to get better. You have guys like, Stan Musial, one of the all-time greats. You have Willie freaking Mays, Henry Aaron, Frank Robinson. Are you freaking kidding me? Albert Pujols too. This guy has been one of the best hitters in baseball. Lefties, righties, fastballs, breaking stuff, it does not matter. You look at his baseball reference page for basically any year of his career, and it is just teeming with red. They have the overall catch-all metrics for 3 major categories of what position players do, of batting run value, base running value, fielding value. It's not a great fielder. It's not a great base runner either. But in terms of the batting run value, the overall calculation of the offensive impact this guy makes, he is in the 100th percentile. The best in baseball this year. He is absolutely sensational. He is one of the best hitters we have ever seen, and he is just 26 years old. You do not see guys hit free agency this young with this level of talent. They just don't. It doesn't happen. Nobody gets to the major leagues at that age and competes and performs at that level and then eventually hits free agency. I mean, this would be like if Mike Trout actually ended up hitting free agency as opposed to, for some reason, deciding that he wanted to spend his entire career with the Angels and never have winning seasons and never compete for things. Unfortunately, that is, fortunately for the rest of Major League Baseball, that has not been the case for Juan Soto. That has always not been going to be the case because Scott Boras is his agent, which, by the way, the Rangers have a pretty good relationship with Scott Boras after those 2 deals for the middle infielders of Corey Seager and Marcus Semien, both Boras clients, combining for $500 million, who I think Juan Soto will probably end up making more than those 2 combined in this one free agent contract. But I mean, the guy is incredible. And also on the biggest stage, he competes. He's been to the biggest stage. He has won a World Series before. He has also lost a World Series this most recent year with the New York Yankees, which I think opened up the door for the possibility of him going elsewhere. If the Yankees won the World Series with Juan Soto here, I think they might give him $1 billion, a key to the city, and literally everything that he could ever want to stay in pinstripes. But with that World Series loss, I think it opens up the door, and with it being, in such brutal fashion with that Game 5, it was just an incredibly, inexplicably blown lead, and losing in 5 games in brutal fashion. But for his career, he's only been to the postseason 3 times. Just 3 times. Once in 2019 as a second-year player, a seasoned vet at 20 years old, where he went to the World Series and won it with the Washington Nationals in 7 games against the Houston Astros, one of 2 different series where the home team has lost every single game of a series. That was the Houston Astros losing the 2019 World Series and the Houston Astros losing the 2023 ALCS. So he does have some experience beating the Astros in a playoff series, which hopefully he'd get to do a couple of times in Rangers uniform, should he sign here. Then in 2022, with the Padres, made it all the way to the NLCS, had a pretty decent overall postseason there. And then this year was sensational with the Yankees. I mean, Aaron Judge had a brutal postseason. Giancarlo Stanton had a pretty good postseason, but a lot of their offense was being carried by Soto. So in 10 series in 3 years in the postseason, 43 postseason games, a slash line of 281, 389, 538, a 927 OPS with 11 homers in 43 games of postseason action. 11 home runs. This guy brings it in the biggest moments. He steps up in the biggest moments against the best competition because he is the best competition. But what would it take for him to sign a deal with the Rangers? What kind of contract are we looking at? And can the Rangers even afford it? Talk about all that and more right after this. This show is brought to you by FanDuel. Get ready to tackle NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gets you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. I'm not sure that FanDuel has odds on who's going to sign Juan Soto at this point, but they do have some odds for the 2025 World Series winner. Right now, the favorites is the Dodgers to repeat at plus 400. Rangers right now tied for the 9th best odds with the Guardians and the Cubs and the Mariners at plus 2,500. If the Rangers sign Juan Soto, I guarantee those odds are jumping way, way up. So go visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Now, Juan Soto is a free agent. He is a Scott Boras client, which always means that Scott Boras is going to do his best to get his client the most money. And for the most part, Scott Boras, outside of last year, which was a very perplexing winter for Scott Boras, one of the few times where Boras has missed the mark and overestimated the value of his clients. But you can't really overestimate the value of Juan Soto. This is a guy who is going to sign with whoever pays him competitive dollar, whoever has a chance to win, not only for this year, but for every year of his career for a long, long deal. He wants to be in the playoffs in those big moments. He wants to be winning championships, not just that one in 2019. He doesn't want to just get there like he did with 2024 with the Yankees. He wants to compete in October over and over and over again in his career. Now, what kind of a deal is he looking at? Now, is he going to make 10 years, $700 million like Shohei Ohtani? I don't think that's the deal that's on the table because last I checked, Juan Soto doesn't pitch. I'm pretty sure. I don't think he's going to start pitching with his next free agent team. But there are a bunch of different estimations for this contract. I mean, in his career, the Nationals offered him a big, big deal, which it seemed at the time it felt a little crazy from the outside that he turned this deal down to 15 years, $440 million. The Nationals offered that contract to him in the middle of 2022. He declined it because he knew he was going to hit free agency in a year and a half. And he'd probably blow that contract out of the water. And he was very upset that the Nationals leaked that contract. I mean, basically, when that information got out that he was offered this contract, I think it might have been early on in the season in 2022. When that information got out, he said, I don't want to be here anymore. Y'all need to trade me. Trade me right now because this is unacceptable. And so I've imagined there will be a decent amount of secrecy with his contract negotiations, who's going to be involved. I think every team outside of, well, probably just the A's, but I think literally every other team in baseball outside of the A's and also probably the White Sox, I think are out since they are wanting to cut their payroll for whatever reason, because being 120 loss team wasn't bad enough for them. Good luck, Will Venable. But every other team in Major League Baseball, I think, is going to be in on the Juan Soto sweepstakes. Obviously, you have the three favorites of the teams that have more money than God in the Dodgers, the Yankees, and the New York Mets, all of whom have shown a willingness to go well into the Cohen zone of paying whatever tax it costs to get him there. Also, those two states have state income taxes. The Rangers don't have state income taxes in Texas, and that could be a factor. I think it was definitely a factor with Seager, maybe a little bit of a factor with Semien and with deGrom. So the Rangers offering the same amount of actual money that those other teams in those states like California, like New York, and whoever else has state income tax, not entirely sure which states all do, but I know that California does, and I know that New York does. So if the Rangers' money is similar to these deals, then I think the Rangers will have the edge because he will actually end up making more money by being in Texas. But there are a bunch of different contracts on the board right now. I trust Spotrac and what they are projecting. They do a good job of projecting what those deals will be. And in their latest estimation, they put on the table 12 years, $660 million, with $215 million of that deferred. That's not quite as much as the 10 years, $700 million that Shohei Ohtani is making. But when you account for inflation and for how much of that is being deferred, that's a bigger contract. That's a better contract for Juan Soto. Now, Soto doesn't have quite the star power, the endorsement deals, I should say more endorsement deals level of cash that allowed Ohtani to negotiate that deal to give the Dodgers more room to and go and potentially get a Juan Soto, or to go and sign Yoshinobu Yamamoto, or whatever other free agents that the Dodgers are wanting to go and sign, because Shohei Ohtani is not counting $70 million against the tax, so it gives them more flexibility. So with $215 million of that deferred, that would be $445 million across those 12 years, with again, that 215 deferred, you don't really have to worry about that at that point. Basically, it adds up to $37 million per year that I think it would be counting against the tax. That is what I'm doing in my estimation. And right now, according to Spotrac, the Rangers are projected for $209 million, $209.7 million in total allocations in 2025. That is including the likes of Nathan Eovaldi picking up that deal, the arbitration salaries of guys like Lowe and Heim and Tavares and Dunning and everyone who's ARB eligible. It's also including a mutual option for David Robertson and Andrew Chafin, not mutual for Chafin. That is a team option for $6.5 million. And all that together with $37 million a year, that puts the Rangers at $246.78 million. The competitive balance tax is $241 million. That would put Texas $5.78 million over the tax. They would pay an additional $2.89 million in tax, whatever fees, whatever that is actually allocated as. That's not what the Rangers want to do. That has been pretty clearly laid out, that the Rangers want to get under the tax because they would be a 3-time repeater. Every dollar over that tax threshold of $241 million, the Rangers would pay 50%. So they'd be spending $1.50 for every dollar they spend over that tax. But those options, they're not happening. At least 2 or 3 are guaranteed to not be happening. Nathan Eovaldi had a player option for $20 million because he pitched 300 innings combined over the last 2 seasons. He is set to make more than that in free agency, so that's $20 million off the books right there. David Robertson declined his mutual option for $7 million this season. That is $7 million off the board there. Chafin, $6.5 million for this next season. I don't think the Rangers are going to pick up that option. You take all those options off the board, and the Rangers are sitting at $213.25 million. So basically, not quite 30 or $28 million or so under that tax threshold. That is perfectly in reach for where they want to be. Even that, if the Rangers want to go for that, $220 million, which is a target that Evan Grant talked about setting for the Rangers opening day payroll, this is still likely. This is still possible. It gives you some wiggle room, even if Soto is making more than that, even if less than $215 million of that is deferred. It's possible. There is room for the Rangers to do it, even with all of their questions about money, about long-term spending, about all of that stuff. This still gives the Rangers some wiggle room to get there. All of that to say, is it going to happen? Where is he going to fit in this lineup? And is he even worth this extreme level of contract? Talk about all about that and more right after this. This show is brought to you by Game Time. Game Time is the best place to get all of your tickets for all the live events you're wanting to go to. Whether you want to go check out a concert, whether you want to go see some stand-up, whether you want to go see some Mavs games, Stars games, or some Cowboys games, no matter what you're looking to get tickets to, Game Time is the best place to get all of those tickets. They've got Game Time picks, which makes curation easier to save on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. I've also got all-in pricing. Toggling this feature shows you the total up front, so there's no surprise fees at checkout. You can get panoramic views from your seat in the app before you buy, so you know exactly what's going to look like when you get there. They've also got the lowest price guarantee, where Game Time will credit you 110% the difference. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. Now, the Rangers are not going to be the favorites in the sweepstakes to sign Juan Soto. This is a guy who has been someone who is, I think, on their radar as a potential free agent target basically since, 2020. I mean, since this guy, it was obvious he was going to go to free agency. Everyone has been circling this date in their calendar, this offseason in their calendar for Juan Soto is going to be a free agent. We got to be sure to have some money set aside, some, plan set aside to go and make a run at this guy. Obviously, the favorites are probably the Yankees, Dodgers, and Mets because they have so much money, because they all made the championship series this year. They have competitive teams and long windows that are going to be open, ownership that is willing to shell out crap tons of money. And for Soto, he's already seen what it's like in New York to be a member of the Yankees. I don't think he's a guy who is charmed by that, who is going to be swayed of, oh my gosh, pinstripes and the Yankees are so special and all of that good stuff. But the Rangers have one of the best GMs, president of baseball operations in baseball, in Chris Young. The fact that this guy was able to sell Corey Seager and Marcus Semien and Jacob deGrom and Bruce Bochy on the direction of a franchise that had no direction, no hope, no prospect of being competitive, coming off of the seasons that they were coming off of when he convinced those guys to sign on and be Texas Rangers. Heading into 2022, that winter after 2021, a team that felt hopeless, lifeless, directionless. He showed Marcus Semien, hey, this is the window. This is the plan that I have for this team to be competitive, to start winning, to you're not just going to come here and be fine and whittle away in mediocrity. This is the team that's going to win, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to do it. And it's not just be you. It's going to be you and Corey Seager and John Gray and eventually a bunch of other guys. And this team is going to compete. He convinced them to sign. And they had a 94-loss season right after it, bringing in that $500 million middle infield. And people left. People mocked. And people scorned and said, wow, this team's so stupid. Why'd you spend all that money just to have a team that still sucks? That's still, you didn't lose 100 games the next year. Okay, wow, look, you got, 8 wins better or so. That's not that great. And then Chris Young becomes the head man in charge at the end of 2022. And the first thing he does that offseason is bring in Bruce Bochy. And you say, oh, okay. This guy's got some oomph. This guy has got some swaying power. Bringing Bruce Bochy out of not quite retirement, but basically retirement, to come in and coach a team coming off of a 94-loss season that hadn't had even a winning record since 2016? It's been a hot minute. And then they go and they shock the world. They signed Jacob freaking deGrom. And then they shocked the world. They signed Nathan Eovaldi. They signed a bunch of other guys. And then they really shocked the world and they win the freaking World Series in 2023. Now, the budget wasn't very big for what the Rangers were going to do in that offseason. So there wasn't a whole lot of signing to be done. But Chris Young still made the most of it, signing Kirby Yates, signing David Robertson. I mean, the moves that he did make this past offseason were, for the most part, pretty darn good. I mean, he had a great plan, and convincing those guys to sign here Yates worked out incredibly well. Robinson signing worked out incredibly well. And now not only does he have the track record, but he has a proof of concept that this works. The guys are already here. It's not like signing Semien and Seager that offseason. There is already proof that, hey, this is a winning organization. We literally just won a World Series. And for Juan Soto to come in here saying, hey, this lineup was bad in 2024. This was not the lineup that we expect to be there in 2025. This is a lineup that has a lot more depth than what the Yankees have to boast. The lineup depth is not quite the same as what the Dodgers are sporting, but there's not going to be pressure on him to just be the only guy. There are already certified stars here in Seager, in Semien. There is a young talent that has a brighter future than I think any hitter on any of these other teams that are going to be big, big fishes, big, chasers of Juan Soto. There's nobody that has the kind of ceiling that Wyatt Langford has in terms of young guys from the Yankees, from the Mets, from the Dodgers, saying, hey, this lineup 1 through 9 is going to be incredible, and you're going to be an incredible part of it. Whether he's going to be playing every day in right field or in left field or more of a DH situation. I mean, the Rangers have that depth of the lineup, and if the guys bounce back, half the guys bounce back like they are expecting to in 2025, having a healthy, good season from Evan Carter. I mean, that guy's probably going to be hitting 7th, 6th or so in this lineup if they should add a guy like Juan Soto, who I think would probably be hitting 3rd. I'd probably play him every day at either right field or DH with him and Adolis Garcia swapping out. And the depth this lineup would be boasting with adding a Soto would be absolutely exceptional. This would be the best lineup in baseball, I feel fairly confident in saying, if the Rangers added Soto. Maybe the Dodgers lineup would be a little bit better. And the Rangers don't have an Aaron Judge in protection around him. They don't have that. They don't have 3 MVPs like the Dodgers would be boasting. They have more lineup depth than the Mets, I feel pretty confident in saying. The best hitter on the Rangers is better than the best hitter on the Mets. I mean, Corey Seager is one of the best hitters in all of Major League Baseball. And having your best hitter also be a lefty who crushes lefties pretty well in Corey Seager. Seager did have a down year against lefties this year, but I feel fairly confident in saying that he will bounce back, and the Rangers have some lefty mashers that would be protection for him in Wyatt Langford, in Josh Young, should Juan Soto choose to sign with the Texas Rangers. But all that to say, even though the Rangers aren't favorites, I mean, the fact that the Rangers have Chris Young heading up this operation, the fact that there is room for the Rangers to sign Juan Soto. There can be moves made to accommodate the payroll if other things break the wrong way. If the Rangers want to clear up some more payroll space to go do some other things to this lineup, there is a way to sign Juan Soto. There are moves to be made, and Chris Young is the guy who is in charge, who I have full confidence in his ability to do so. And if you're just making basically one move this offseason, I think the Rangers would still have some room to go sign a couple of relievers. They would be pretty much out on almost any free agent starting pitcher if they sign Juan Soto. And is that the right allocation of resources for this offseason? I think if you can do it, absolutely yes. Does he fix this entire lineup? Is Juan Soto signing going to fix everybody else in this lineup? No. But adding a bat of that caliber, going all in, putting this kind of money into any kind of free agent, if you're going to do it for anybody, you do it for Juan Soto. He has been the measure of consistency for his entire career. He has never had a major injury. I mean, the most games that he has missed in a season is, he played 150 in 2019. He only played 47 of the 60-game season back in 2020. But he's played pretty much 150 plus games every full season since his rookie year. He played 116 that year, and that's only because he came up a little bit into the season in 2018 as a 19-year-old rookie with the Washington Nationals, where he had a 3-WAR season and a 923 OPS as a freaking teenager in 2018. This is the kind of guy you unload, you back up the Brinks truck for. You pay every freaking dollar. You put all of your effort into a Juan Soto push. I don't think that it's likely that the Rangers sign him. I still end up thinking he ends up going to one of those big three in the Mets or the Yankees, or God forbid the Dodgers. That would be just such a bummer for everybody if he just ends up on the Dodgers and LA has, Juan Soto batting freaking cleanup with 3 MVPs ahead of him. That would be so boring. But I think the Rangers have an outside shot. Of those teams that aren't those big three, the Rangers absolutely have a shot. I feel confident the Rangers have a shot to sign literally anybody. Because if Chris Young is given the reins to do so, if he is given the go-ahead by ownership, which I think he will be, especially if you can keep that payroll under the CBT, which, again, like I laid out, it is possible. It is absolutely within the realm of possibilities. And there has not been a free agent like Juan Soto basically since A-Rod. A-Rod was heading into his age 25 season when he signed with Texas, and the Rangers got him. They offered a big old deal, and it didn't end up working out. But the other two big old signings that the Rangers have made in terms of position players in Seager and Semien, who are still in their primes, they finished 2 and 3 in MVP voting just a year ago in 2023. And you had a guy like Juan freaking Soto, and this team, all of the questions, there's a lot of things that would have to go right. There's a lot of homegrown pitchers that would have to be healthy and good, not only in the starting rotation, but in the bullpen as well, because you wouldn't be able to be in those high-priced free agent roles of signing guys like a Tanner Scott or whoever else is on this market. But if you're going to make one big splashy move for a free agent to go and shock the world yet again and show, hey, Chris Young is one of the best GMs, Pobos, front office people in Major League Baseball. If there is one guy to go all in on, Juan Soto is absolutely that guy. And I think if the Rangers sign Soto, I don't care what they do for the next 3-4 off seasons, because a move like this is franchise altering for a franchise that just won its first title. And according to Chris Young, very much does want to be competing year in, year out. You sign Juan freaking Soto, you're doing that. That is a championship window that is open for a long freaking time. A big sign to this team, to this fan base that, hey, this is not just a one and done situation. This is a team that's competing for years to come. Is it possible? Absolutely. Is it likely? Maybe not. Is it worth it? You bet your butt. That's going to do it for today's show. Thank y'all so much for listening and subscribing. And until next time, don't forget to enjoy World Series champion Texas Rangers baseball.